What's up everyone, it's Dakota and welcome back to another Pioneer video, and today we're going to be taking a look at a Slickshot show-off deck, one of the hottest cards currently being played in the Pioneer format, and we're going to be looking at a Boros build of the deck and just kind of seeing what this deck has going on and kind of what makes it different from, all the other variants that we see running around in Pioneer. But of course, before we get too deep into the deck itself and then we get into the match, if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to see more content like this, I post a lot of Modern and Pioneer content along with some other longer form videos. Think of how many times I've said that, and I've still managed to find a way to screw it up. But if any of that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel, ring the notification bell so you know when those videos get posted. And of course, stay tuned too, because on Saturdays as well, we post a podcast called the Casual Spikes Podcast. Me and my co-host Randy talk about the Modern and Pioneer format and try to go over some of the other decks that are going, kind of just the happenings of the format and what's going on, just to kind of keep players informed and get you ready for your next RCQ event. So we have Slickshot Heroic, Boros Heroic, like whatever variant you want to call this. This is the red-white version of kind of a Slickshot show-off deck. So for those of you might not know what we're talking about when we say Slickshot show-off or like Slickshot Heroic, whatever. It's about this card, Slickshot show-off. How many times can we say in this video? So it's a 2-mana 1/2 Flying Haste Bird Wizard that says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Slickshot Show Off gets +2/+0 and until end of turn. And it has plot for 1 and a red, so you can essentially pay the cost, put it in exile, and then you're able to cast it without paying its mana cost on a future turn. So ideally, you could play this on turn 2, and then you're able to kind of leave up some of these protection spells like Lauren's Escape, where you can give an artifact or a creature hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, and you can scry, or something like God's Willing, where you can give it protection from a color of your choice until end of turn, and it scries 1. So you can do that to kind of protect your Slickshot show-off from, removal spells and things like that. Same kind of like the same idea with like this Demonic Ruckus. It's a plot card. You can play this on turn 1. And then you play something like an Illuminator Virtuoso on turn 2, or you can even play like a Swift Spear on turn 2, where you can equip it with the Demonic Ruckus. It's going to be a 3/4 after the Prowess trigger, and be able to attack with Medicine Trample, and then you're able to leave up something like a God's Willing, or pump it up even further with stuff like Monstrous Rage, Ancestral Anger, Homestead Courage, things like that. Ideally in this deck, though, it's like the 2 drops that kind of take center stage here. So we have Slickshot Show Off. This is where we can get tons of damage in with this card, in conjunction with things like Reckless Rage right here, where we can give it +2/+0 until end of turn, and then create a monster roll token, which gives it a +1/+1 and trample, and permanently gives it +1/+1 and trample. Of course, like the pump from Reckless Rage and Slickshot Show Off, it's going to end up being a 5-power creature when it's all said and done, right? 3, 4, 5, 6 actually. Ends up being like a 6-power creature just off of 1 Monstrous Rage. Illuminator Virtuoso is also another card that is kind of a house. It's 2-mana 1/1 double strike, and whenever it becomes a target of a spell you control, it connives. So it can get out of control pretty quickly, and I mean with like a Monstrous Rage plus something like Homestead Courage, you can easily just get together lethal to kill your opponent. Especially too, I mean if you have like Demonic Ruckus on plot, you play this on like turn 2, you can target this, and then turn 3 you can just kind of go absolutely insane with Virtuoso plus these these pump spells here too. Also in the sideboard, so that's basically our game plan. We have these 16 creatures. We're going to try to suit them up with a ton of pump spells and kill our opponent by also getting to target them with these, again, pretty powerful spells here. Going to the sideboard, you have things like Light of Hope, Destroy Enchantment. You can give a creature +1/+0 and gain 4 life. So it's got a little bit of something for everybody. Rest in Peace for the graveyard decks, or Rending Volley here for like Amalia combo. Reckless Rage is kind of a weird removal spell to use with Slickshot Show Off because it does need a little bit more help to survive it. But most of the other creatures do have a way to kind of get around Reckless Rage, and it's just a very good removal spell just in general. You have Jengatha. You have 4 Showdown of the Skalds to be a little bit more grindy in some of those games that are going to go longer than a few turns. You have the extra land kind of for these 4-mana spells, and has the ability also just to make 2 1/1s to kind of help kind of push through damage a little bit. Torpor Orb as well is like a card that was in the big score kind of stuff for the Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and it works pretty well against Amalia, kind of stopping all of their enter the battlefield triggers and things like that, kind of getting to play the role that Elish Norn would in some of the 5-color decks. So that's the deck list. That's the list we're going to play today. We're going to play a match of Pioneer. Hopefully we can get a good one, because we tried to play with Mono Red, and it was probably one of the most unexciting and anemic draws that I've ever seen come from the deck. So we're going to try out the heroic version and see, how our luck fares there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump over to the match. So here we are with game number 1. We won the die roll. We get to show our emotional support elk here, and looking at a hand here, we do have 2 favorite hoplite. We have a Slickshot show off, and we have a few things we can do to kind of target it. Definitely want like a second land kind of for what's going on here, but I'm definitely interested in keeping it. We have a favorite hoplite. If we end up hitting our second land, then we are able to kind of, I don't want to say necessarily go off, but we can just, start like pumping this favorite hoplite and giving it, making it bigger. Having our opponent have a hard time dealing with it. It looks like we're probably playing against like Amalia, would be my guess. With could potentially be Amalia. There's some like decks that do play like a Gilded Goose, but probably not entirely sure. Like second land, we find a Virtuoso. Problem is, so we want. I kind of wanted to just plot this and say go. See what they do. If they willing to be kind of aggressive and just like attack, if they choose to block, just Monstrous Rage, get this thing out of here. And then we have a pretty big hoplite. We end up having like a 3-4 hoplite. And then, having trample, we can just start Homestead Couraging and getting things going. Not the block, then we'll just plot this and say go. So I would guess that our opponent is probably on the Amalia deck, and that this would, for the most part, kind of confirm it for me that this is definitely like Amalia. Dina, yep. Green mana, playing another Goose, okay. So they have 3-4 mana potentially next turn. Alright, well, we are obviously not going to find our next land. So we have a 3-4 Menace. Set Courage this. This Lauren's Escape, the fact that we can target anything, basically just means that we are able to, target. I guess the fact that this Dina is around is a little unfortunate. We did play against. I played against somebody that was also playing Amalia, and they just were actually on the Dina version. I think that's kind of correct if people are trying to draw games that you kind of want to have access to Dina if possible. So this is. So currently they can't. All right, so they have this. I guess with this, so they can end up going and getting a what's it? They can go Chord for 2 and go get Amalia with this. Would love a second land. That works. So if we go Monstrous Rate, so if we just attack, so if we went this +1/+1 counter, that's 7 power attack. I guess they would technically be dead, and we can still leave up Lauren's if they do block, so we can do this. I think even block with one thing, because this is going to be 9, 10, 11. So they block with one thing. I mean, this has trample, so I had to block with like at least 2 things. So if we go... So this is 9. 10 from the roll token, 11. They have 3. They go to 3, and then we're shields down. There's no reason to do that. Do that. Put them to 7. Pass the turn. They did not cord either, so I mean I guess in theory here they can cord for 2, and oh no, they don't have a food token. I mean, I guess they do have the treasure token. They can just go Amalia, yep. So they gain a life, they get to explore. Finds Wild Growth Walker. If they don't already have it. Can't core for 2. So if I go Lauren's Escape, I guess either way. Well, unfortunately, we didn't find like another pump spell. So I mean, if they just go like bare minimum to block, yeah, they have to go block, and then we can. Target this. It's 11. That's lethal right there. And cool. So we end up kind of fading the draw there from them. I mean, pretty annoying. I mean, we could have just died. Even leaving up like the Lord's Escape wasn't going to do anything because this Dina would have eventually drained us out. You know, they wouldn't have been able to blow up the board, but I mean, it really wouldn't have mattered because they probably would have gotten enough drains anyway to kind of kill us. So let's go ahead, check out the sideboard here. So we have Amalia, which is kind of funny because we did play against it earlier, and I would love this off to the side, please. So we want these. We'll take the Rending Volley. Rest in peace. Light up, destroy target enchantment, gain 4 life counter on our creature. I don't think that's really all that great. I don't even necessarily, I don't know if we need... Target creature you control gets protection of the color of your choice. Probably need to keep some of these in here for just the lands. Lauren's Escape is going to be decent. Ancestral Rage. God's Willing. Probably God's Willing is, you know, a card that we can cut. I kind of want to cut like Demonic Ruckus. I don't know if that's like all that great. I think we really just want to find a Slickshot show off, and we want to be able to kind of go off with it. It's going to be able to get over a lot of the creatures that they have. Of course, we have 2 of them here. I mean, not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Our opponent begins with 7 cards in hand. We do have this Monstrous Rage. I think I'm willing to keep this like on the draw. We could potentially find some more things to get. Virtuoso with Monstrous Rage is a pretty big game as well. See what our opponent explores here. They get Court of Calling. Might keep it if they don't have another combo piece in hand. Like they might just have like a solid hand that just could be waiting for something, and they will indeed keep the Court of Calling. Our hand dealing a ton of damage to us, and that's not a little bit better, but not the worst thing in the world. I mean, definitely don't want 4th land with this deck. I mean, you're playing we're playing like 18 physical lands, so opponent has a Court of Calling in hand. They play Wild Growth Walker. Still not set. I mean, they still technically could play 3rd land into Innkeeper plus Amalia as well. Which I think, for the most part, I'm going to just respect that. I'm going to kind of play a turn off. So we can target their Amalia with Monstrous Rage, and then if we do that, then we can mess up like the timing on it. So basically, that they're going to have Amalia like out here. So that, or they could just be on a... I guess, too, they do have Return to the Ranks... Probably. Oh, no. It's okay. It stays on top. Gain 3, gain a life. They don't have enough to cord. Drawing another land is not ideal. Cast the bird wizard. Get him for 1. Okay, if they actually kept the... So they have a Court of Calling and a Return to the Ranks in hand. I'm just not exactly sure. I mean, they can court for 2 right now. They're drawing another land. Tackle the Slickshot, show off. So, I mean, this could be court for 2, and then we're going to see if our opponent knows how to draw the game with the Slickshot show, or with kind of what's going on. Because as of right now, like, I guess court X3, I mean... I don't think it matters. I mean, I guess they could just go and get, like, Skyclave Apparition. Like, the thing, I guess, to do here would be to get, like, Skyclave Apparition, get rid of, like, Slickshot. Alright, so we know our opponent has that. So we're essentially going to let them go through the combo, and then once Amalia gets to a pretty big number, I believe, like, we'll let it get to 19, and then once it gets to 19, we will target it with the Monstrous Rage, and then they're forced to essentially mill their whole deck. So we're going to end up playing a 3rd game. We're still going to be up a game, but our opponent is still going to have to win 2 in time, and they're obviously going to waste clock trying to do so. So we just play this waiting game where we try to, we wait for Amalia to get up to like a really high life total, and then we Monstrous Rage it to give it a lot more power than what it needs to actually go nuclear, and then kind of let it go off. So opponent's finding a ton of lands. We really want them to find spells. Really, like, a best thing for us would be for them to find the Aetherflux Reservoir. I'm assuming at least that they are on that version, or, pretty standard for all of these Amalia decks to play something like an Aetherflux Reservoir. I think Dina has become less common now. It looks like they kept an Amalia on top. Oh, okay, now they milled Amalia, so... Collected Company... Milled. Dina probably gets milled. I may have... Alright, so they found... So they milled Dina. The Extraction Specialist probably just ends up getting milled. Apparently not. They're keeping Specialist. Or I guess they're just trying to hurry up and get to... Marsh. They have 35 cards. We really would like them to find Aetherflux Reservoir, because then it just takes them longer to actually click through everything and to do their thing. 16. Amalia has 17 power, 18 power. This one. 18. So we could do this now. Would you like to pay 3 life to prevent this? Yes. Pay 3 life. Our Slickshot show off and stuff like that's going to be big, but now they are going to be unable to loop through. So we're just going to pass everything and wait to see how long it takes them to go through everything. All right, now finally, Moto decided that it's had enough, and we're ready to move on. So we have these. Do we want? I guess we don't really. I mean, we just basically get to play like the same game all over again. Just It's going to make it so our opponent is forced to draw the game. I think we just lost a minute on our clock, too. Spikefield Hazard is like another land, so we could play this on 1. We can play Virtuoso on 2. We have Monstrous Rage. We can keep this. They mulligan to 6 as well. Hopefully we don't keep drawing the game, because I would like to finish this before I have to actually be an adult, so... So we'll probably end up playing Spikefield Hazard tapped, play Pillar Verge Pathway. Or play this pathway on the white side of it. Not a 1-drop that we want to Spikefield Hazard. Cave tap, say go. We have, Lauren's Path, we have Monstrous Rage. I mean, this is like a hand where we could potentially just kill with like Illuminator Virtuoso if we draw like our 3rd land. Currently, the only white mana they have is this. They just play Innkeeper. So I can get 2 mana at this currently, which looks like we're playing a Veteran. So at the current moment, I mean, they could, in theory, Pillar Verge. Kind of like, I'm just going to play Favorite Hoplite. I'm going to respect the fact that they can combo. They did mulligan to 6. There's the potential that they can combo. If we draw like a 3rd land, then we'll play Illuminator and leave up like Monstrous Rage and what have you. Like if they shock this and do nothing, then okay. So I mean, still potential for like Court of Calling. So we could Ancestral Anger. It's kind of going to do the same thing with like Lauren's Path. Miss out on some damage here. That's on me. I thought it was an instant, but at least this way we could potentially just actually be able to do something. So this looks like potentially Court of Calling. So Court for 2. Go and get the Amalia or whatever piece. Okay, Dina. So this could be interesting. So go and get Dina. So they must have then like one of the pieces plus like a way to go get the other one would be my guess. Which in that case, I mean, we just end up losing anyway. They have one card in hand. Of course, it is the Amalia. We're probably gonna end up cycling this Defiant Strike. So they have a Marsh that goes into hand. We lose 1. Explore. Finds the Wild Growth Walker. So we basically just want to find like some way to get rid of this Dina, and we can draw the game. Defiant Strike. So we know they have Marsh. They have that in top. I don't know if we can just kill them. So this is like... We're just start. This is like Illuminator Virtuoso, they'd be dead, because then we could at least pitch like those angers and stuff. So they only have a land in hand. So this is going to trample. Monstrous Rage 8. No, because they're still going to be able to drain us out from that. So we still need to find like a way to actually kill this Dina. Unfortunate. Yeah, finds another land. Pretty unlucky for us. They were actually able to find it pretty quickly. At least now, I guess if they maybe have a heart attack at their keyboard. Yeah, we'll just concede the game. We're dead here. So we are now tied going into game 4. We're on the play. Maybe it's correct that if we're on the draw to have Reckless Rage and things like that in our deck. I don't know if home, like, drop a Courage, play Reckless. Here's we have 3 Reckless Rage. We have no, 2 Reckless Rage. Rending Volley. I kind of don't want. I mean, I know we want the other land, but I don't want that. I think I'd just rather have like the actual physical land in our deck. I think we'll cut the spell and actually play an extra land, just because we're kind of cutting it because it's a tap land. I mean, this will be untapped. I don't know how much that game would have mattered too much if that came into play untapped on that turn, but I guess in a world I could see where it mattered, so I'll play that. So yes, we would like to play first. We will reveal our Emotional Support Elk. I mean, this hand can win the game pretty quick. Monstrous Rage, Ancestral Rage. Beginning the game with 7 cards in hand. Maybe our opponent's debating on a close 7. I mean, their hand ended up being like really good last game, if only for the fact of just having the ability to find like the Wild Growth Walker. C-Note Scout, so finds Veteran, keeps Veteran on top. Play it here. Cast this. It's not really anything they can play on like turn 2. I don't think that can kill the Show Off. I know offhand that's not like super weird. So at least our next turn we can go up to 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm assuming that they have like a Shockland or something like that to play, so they can play this Veteran and kind of get things going. The fact that they didn't they didn't have Goose is kind of nice, because, you know, getting to go like Veteran into like an Amalia or whatever is like a way that you can kind of, you know, dig for some land drops as well. So kind of happy to have avoided that on turn 1, and the fact that they just got a 2/2 and now have like this Lunarch Veteran just kind of sitting in their hand. So we're going to be looking for, I mean, essentially any way that we can try to lethal them with like Slickshot, Show Off. Even, I guess Reckless Rage really isn't all that good, but okay, so I have Innkeeper. So this could potentially just be like them, like, hopefully that they need too many things where they try to set up like Dina before anything else, and we just kind of get to, you know, spew our hand and like kill them. I believe so. If they go, so I mean, at the current moment, they need the white mana to like cast the. I guess they have Goose to gain life, so I guess that technically blocks the Slickshot. So they potentially can. Well, that's interesting. Oh, cast it, please. So they have. So they go make mana, play Amalia. They have another land. They have 1, 2, 3. They can court for 1. But they could just have land into both, and they know... So I guess their hand has to be, like, kind of perfect, but I also don't think we have any reason to go for it right away. I think normally I would just, like, okay, like, here's Monstrous Rage, like, get in a ton of damage, like, all right, go. But I think leaving ourselves open to potentially getting, like, blown out like that, where we don't really need to do that. We can do, you know, get up to 6, 12. Or actually, this is even more. So, like, this ends up being 3, this ends up being 6, and then this ends up being 8, 8, 16. So they gain a life. This can be like a chord for 3 to go get something. It's another veteran, so they cannot... I guess they can still chord for like Amalia or whatever and end up gaining life. Another show off. I'm going to start with an Ancestral Rage. Defiant Strike, the other one. Would like to draw another land. There we go. Attack with both. Monstrous Rage, that's 4. I mean, that's a ton of damage. 19, it's exactly lethal. They need Chord. And they don't, so we actually end up winning the match. So, alright, sweet. We end up taking it down. Yeah, so some thoughts about this deck. It actually felt really good. Definitely saw the power of like Slickshot show off in that match where, I mean, we did play 2 of them. But, you know, the fact that the second one, I mean, the third one really wasn't going to help. I guess, in theory, we could have, you know, had a turn where, like, if they didn't kill us that turn, I mean, we could have just absolutely just gone off. Like, even if they have multiple blockers, we just trample 2 of them, and then the unblocked one just gets to get super big. But, you know, the Boros version actually felt pretty good. Obviously, you have a little bit of upside by, you know, playing against, like, Amalia, just because if they don't have the foresight to go get Dina, or they try to, like, combo really fast while they think that you might not have it, you can kind of punish them from giving their things like indestructible and just kind of like putting them in a pretty bad position. Nonetheless, kind of like what we did in game 2, where they were kind of forced to draw out the game, and they also didn't realize either that they had to mill themselves out. The time issue didn't really end up coming up, but you know it can. So when you are playing Amalia, you have to mill your entire deck and then let Moto basically kind of like go through itself and you know get to a point where you know it's like okay, it's a draw, you know, and then you can go to the sideboarded games. So you know, overall, I liked the deck a lot. We didn't really see anything of like Demonic Ruckus, Reckless Rage, any of the removal didn't really come up. But definitely, you know, having Slickshot show off, having Luminary Virtuoso is definitely important for this deck to be able to have like some of those quick kills. I mean, we saw Favorite Hoplite do a ton of damage, but it just wasn't fast enough. Although the game definitely would have gotten really interesting if we had found the Reckless Rage to pair with the Favorite Hoplite to actually kill our opponent's Dina, and then you know obviously get in for a ton of damage. And then if our opponent tried to like go for it, you know, we had the potential to draw the game yet again and, you know, have them waste a ton of clock, where then I think it probably would have been a real issue. You know, the second draw would have put them in a really tight spot. So, but yeah, that is the deck. That is Slickshot Heroic. I'll probably end up playing this deck a lot more. It'll probably be the deck that I play, you know, for the rest of like the qualifying matches for the Mana Traders and stuff. So yeah, I mean, go ahead and check out the deck. I'll have the deck list link. I've actually linked Doomwake's deck list just because that's where I got it from. And I mean, it absolutely kind of, you know, felt like we kind of crushed it, you know, maybe some like awkward draws where we drew more creatures than we wanted, maybe drew more of the interactive stuff than we wanted to, you know, when we wanted creatures or we wanted lands. But, you know, overall, like if you can get this deck to halfway function, it ends up being pretty sweet. So yeah, that's going to be this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Again, if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more content, please subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so you know when future videos get posted. Check out the Casual Spikes podcast. Check out Randy's channel over on Modern with Randy for a lot of the stuff going on in, you know, the competitive RCQ formats and things like that. So that's going to new for me. Hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next video.